women to deliver here in the hospital, because this is the only hospital I didn't mention to you for the whole Jenin district, which count 330,000 people.
On April 4th, the second day of the invasion, the hospital was hit by 11 shells fired from tanks. After being denied access to the camp for 7 days, on April 9th, medical personnel were told that they could now enter the camp with ambulances. However, they were stopped when they arrived at the camp entrance. The Israeli military had not intended to let the ambulance into the camp. They only wanted to use it as a shield while they repaired a broken tank. Later that same day, the Jenin camp's only ambulance was destroyed by Israeli tanks while it was parked in front of the hospital.
In the 10th, it became really worse, and we have a lot of calls from Jenin camp that they have a lot of injured and a lot of dead people. They are died because they haven't received any medication or any medical assistance. We get here to my office and we are discussing what we can do. 10 minutes after, we have received 3 bullets from a sniper in my office here. You can see.
The attack on Dr. Abu Ghali violated Article 20 of the Fourth Geneva Convention, which guarantees protection and respect for medical personnel engaged in the operation of hospitals and the care of patients. Dr. Abu Ghali described a remarkably inhumane situation that occurred on the following day. On that day, Dr. Abu Ghali was instructed by Israeli military personnel to tend to 3 patients outside the hospital in the military encampment.
I examined these 3 patients. One of them have a bullet injury in the abdomen and a bullet in the thigh. The second one have a chest bullet in the left side, and the outlet is from the back. The third one, he have received a bullet in the arm, and the arterial blood is going in. They cannot stop the bleeding. They tie his arm with a wire, with a metallic wire to stop bleeding. I told him, doctor, both 3 are emergency cases. We must treat them urgently. He told me, who is the most urgent one? I told him, excuse me, the emergency is emergency. I have 3 operating theater and can operate them, all of them in the same time. And I have the possibility, there is no. He told me, let me see who is the most important. I told him, this guy who has the chest, just give him for me 3 minutes if you need. And I will treat him and I will return him back to you in the station, just to save his life. He told me, and the others, I told him, this man, he will lose his arm if he will not be operated directly. He told me, never mind, even if he loses his life. That's it, return back to your hospital. In that moment, it's difficult, very difficult to describe to you my feeling. It is so impossible to think about that moment.
Nablus, a city north of Jerusalem, was severely hit by the Israeli military during the April raids of the West Bank. Unlike Jenin, in Nablus there were no Palestinian militants fighting against the Israeli military. Nonetheless, Israel destroyed much of the civilian infrastructure of Nablus, as well as significant cultural icons of the city.
You have there clearly more clear war crime than Jenin, because the argument of army necessity, they're easy to prove that wasn't.
The delegation visited with a family whose house had been occupied by the Israeli military. To avoid gunfire from Palestinian gunmen, Israeli soldiers would often occupy a home and blow up a wall shared by 2 homes. The Israeli soldiers could advance up a street while protected by the walls of the homes, internally destroyed along the way. In the meanwhile, whole homes are destroyed and families are traumatized.
In the same, they sit beside in our apartment 12 hours since 6 o'clock in the بالمساء جو للصبح.
لا الصبح الساعة 6
بضلوا للمساء.
At 6 in the morning, early morning till the 6 on the evening, all the day.
واحنا قاعدين في الصالون هناك يعني ما بدون اكل بدون شرب بدون شيء.
We remain staying without eating, without drinking, without anything. We were forbidden.
يعني على الحمام يعني منعوه.
Even my husband asked to get to the bathroom, they didn't
ممنوع
allow
تتحرك
him.
ممنوع تطلع ممنوع.
It's forbidden to get up even.
During the siege of Nablus, all adult male citizens were taken by the Israeli military and detained in a girls' school that was being used as a detention center.
From 2 o'clock afternoon till the day next at about 6 in the early morning. اوصف لنا كيف كنت مربط.
هيك.
I was tied like this with a plastic ties.
وصار لهم زي وجع يعني.
Here it was almost very red.
كانوا يضربوا على إجرامن.
And the blood, it was very painful also for me. And they used to beat us and beat me, especially on his legs.
شباب صغار بعدين يعني مش معهوش هويات هذول.
They are under 16 years. They are, as you see, he's teenagers.
One of the ramifications of the definition of the whole period as an armed conflict, it's the refusal from the part of the IDF to start investigations in the cases of the killing of civilians. And they say, well, we don't need to, and there is no need to open military police investigations because all the incidents took place in the context of an armed conflict. Many cases of very young children that were killed that could be no excuse of armed conflicts or military necessity.
The delegation met with the family of Amid Abu Sair. On May 17, 2002, Amid and his father were preparing to leave their home to go to the mosque for the weekly Friday congregational prayer.
His father, he asked his father to get out. His father answered him, wait till the tanks passed away. That's it. Then they were wounded.
اتصاب لف أبوه عشان يحميه.
He was wounded and his father covered him.
انتخ أبوه.
His father also wounded later on.
سمعت صوت صياح.
I heard sounds of shouting. His father was shouting, Amid is wounded, Amid is wounded.
خرجت لقيت أبوه واقف متصاوب وعميد على الدرج مرميه.
I get out of the house, of the room, I mean the kitchen. She found that Amid is on the stairs and her husband is wounded. The blood was covering the stairs.
حملته حاولت أحط إيدي على الجرح.
I carried him. I tried to put my hand on the injured to stop bleeding. But it was useless. He closed his eyes and his face to be blue.
Amid was inside his home when he was wounded by shrapnel from tank fire. He died later that day, having sustained injuries to his heart, lung, and liver. Amid was 7 years old. As U.S. citizens, the National Lawyers Guild delegates are deeply disturbed by the level of U.S. complicity in the subjugation of the Palestinian people. Israel's apartheid and occupation is in large part made possible by military and economic funding from the United States.
Every element of the occupation is illegal. It's absolutely illegal in international law.
An occupation is defined by its nature as a temporary situation. And that's why Israel appealed to the United States, and the United States agreed to suspend its support for international law in this case. But the United States reclassified the occupied territories as disputed territories. And in that way, they pulled the rug completely out from under the Palestinians and made all the negotiations on a power basis, in which Israel is infinitely stronger.
The Israelis cannot do what they do without U.S. assistance and military assistance. They just use massive amounts of tanks and bullets and air fire, and it's just unlimited. And it's as if it doesn't cost them anything. It was so expensive to do that. And a country that is suffering from the economics and economic situation this country is suffering from, they can never use that kind of weaponry without the support and the backup of the U.S.
America fight us and Israel fight us. But give Sharon the green light so as to kill. We are neighbor. We want to live in peace with you. Do you kill your neighbor? Oh my God.